World-renowned greatest football coach of all time, Bill Belichick, is making his claim to potentially be the greatest GM of all time, as well as he just pulled off a trade that netted him 3 draft picks and lost him a total of 0. So in this video, we're going to discuss how my Carolina Panthers just potentially were on the tail end of one of the greatest heists in NFL history and many other things, including how we should feel about this, and we're going to get into all of that right after this.
From the foe, you dig?
Welcome to The Way I See It with Jamario Rashad. This is a Carolina Panthers fan channel. Please do me a favor by hitting the like button, and please make sure you subscribe, as I am on my road to 3K, trying to make sure my channel continues to grow before these games get started very, very soon. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get to what has went down. Now, if you have not heard the report, the Carolina Panthers, or former Carolina Panther Matt Corral, has been signed off of waivers and is now expected to be the backup quarterback in New England behind Mac Jones and playing for Bill Belichick. Now, how exactly did we get here? If you are in tune with what has went down over the last year or so, Matt Corral is only entering the second year of his short NFL career, and he is already on a different team. But let's go ahead and follow this story in chronological order so that we all have a better understanding of just how did we get here. Now, in the 2022 draft, a draft day trade went down where my Carolina Panthers sent their 2022 fourth round pick, which was the 137th overall, which eventually turned into Bailey Zappi, as well as a 2023 third rounder to the New England Patriots in exchange for a 2022 third round pick, the 94th overall, that eventually turned into quarterback Matt Corral. Now, just 365 short days later, this trade looks a lot different, probably over 365 days, but you get it. Just over a year later, this trade looks a lot different. Entering the 2023 regular season, as of now, the Carolina Panthers have waived quarterback Matt Corral, but the New England Patriots, what they have done with that extra draft capital that they got for giving that pick to the Carolina Panthers is they drafted in the third round, which a pick that went all the way up to the 76th pick, which ended up being nearly 20 spots better than what we got in the 2022 draft. They used that to draft linebacker Marte Mapu. They also waived quarterback Bailey Zappi and brought him back by way of waivers to their because he cleared waivers to their practice squad. And then they also claimed Matt Corral and added him to their final 53. So as it stands here today, the Carolina Panthers not only traded 2 picks, or they swapped picks in the 2022 draft, they also sent out an extra 2023 third round pick that ended up being higher than the third round pick that they traded for in 2022, and none of those draft picks are currently on the Carolina Panthers roster, and all of them are in New England. So the way that this all shook out is the Carolina Panthers sent out 2 picks to get 1, and now all 3 of those picks that were in all of those transactions are in New England. So that brings you up to speed with what exactly happened. So now that you know how exactly we got here, I have a few reactions to what exactly went down, and I'm gonna express my feelings over the next few moments. But I first feel like I have to say that this more so feels like a big deal because Bill Belichick was the one that made this decision. Not only Bill Belichick, it being the New England Patriots being the ones that decided to pick up Matt Corral. I believe that if it had been any other team, this would not have been as much of a story. It's simply more so of a narrative, a narrative-driven story because of the picks that were involved, the draft day deal. But Matt Corral being released from the team after the Carolina Panthers traded up to get the first overall pick, drafted Bryce Young, elected to name him the starter, and they released the guy that they drafted in the third round the year before. That necessary, in my eyes, that wouldn't be a story that is picked up nationally, or even people, not even many people locally would care if it hadn't been for those extra elements that had been a part of this story. So I believe that's why this entire situation feels so awkward, because it was the Patriots. But yeah, I think like Corral was gonna leave no matter what. And even though this happened, even though Corral is now a Patriot, that doesn't necessarily validate, or what am I trying to say? Him being picked up to potentially be a backup quarterback on another team doesn't necessarily validate why he should have been kept here for the crowd of people that feel like Matt Corral may have necessarily, or may have been wronged in this transaction. He may have not necessarily gotten all the opportunity that he deserved. Him leaving and getting picked up doesn't validate him not playing well here, or him not earning a spot with the Carolina Panthers roster. But it does look bad on our higher ups, as I'm going to get into in a moment, in the end, because of how this all shook out. But the fleece in this entire situation, although these weren't first or second round picks, these aren't guys that are just moving the needle as of right now. It just seems like it's just an unfair balance when you look at how it all shook out. Just like, okay, man, you lost two, and you were trying to get one, you ended up losing like three, like essentially. So when you look at it like that, that's where the entire fleece comes in. I don't think that this is going to be anything that alters either one of these franchises, but it is something of note because of, as I mentioned, the narrative behind all of this. But it's the extra pick and the extra picks that make this tough to deal with. As I mentioned, the New England Patriots had the 76th pick this year, and we traded for the 94th pick last year for a guy that we don't even have on the roster this year. And then they have a linebacker that we potentially may not have wanted if we would have held on to that pick, but we still did have Josh Downs that was available right there. We had Darnell Washington that was still available at that point in time. We had guys and playmakers and potential game changers still available at needed positions that could have helped Bryce Young early in his career, especially in this rookie season where we don't have to project forward and say, okay, we need to sign this guy or sign that guy in the upcoming seasons. All we needed to do was develop the guys that we have drafted in-house. That would have been nice, but rather we didn't have that pick available to us, and we didn't have a third round pick altogether. So unfortunately, we missed out on that, and the Patriots had that pick, and we had to invest even more draft capital to move back up into the third round to get a DJ Johnson, who at this point, is still his rookie year. We don't know how it's going to turn out, but I'm pretty sure most Panthers fans would have rather had, as I mentioned, Josh Downs, who is a wide receiver, or a Darnell Washington, who could potentially be a game-changing tight end. Those are just like that's just the facts. We would have rather had those players at that position. But I think those are the types of things that make this transaction look bad. But more so, but what I want to move into is this is more so of a reflection, and I can connect this to the video that I published yesterday about if Scott Fitterer deserves any blame for the debacle that was the Matt Rule era here in Carolina. This was another thing that would have to be, if you compartmentalize all of these things, this would go into the pile of the Matt Rule situations. Now, Scott Fitterer did say yesterday that all of those moves were made together. He did sign off on those things. It's unfair to just blame Matt Rule. So if we are going with that train of thought, I want to extend the question to everybody listening to this video and ask you all, with Matt Corral essentially costing the Carolina Panthers 3 draft picks over the course of the last 2 drafts, did they do him? Well, not him at all, because this is a results business and you earn your spot, you earn your keep. I understand that. But this is also a business, and those draft picks are some of the highest capital that you could have aside from something like cap space. So with the Carolina Panthers investing essentially 3 draft picks into Matt Corral, did they owe it to themselves to give it a little more time to see how this would work out? Did they at least need to allow him the opportunity to be the backup quarterback, not allow him to be waived and to have the ability to be claimed by other teams, so that they could avoid this situation altogether. Is that something that, is this something that we can blame Scott Fitterer for? Of course, the optimistic outlook on this is, man, we're moving forward. We don't need to be looking back, and we don't need to be worrying about all of the stuff and all of the mistakes that we made in the past. This is a new era. We have Reich, we have Evero, we have all of these new parts that are going to be taking us into this new era of Panthers football. So we don't need to fret over things that happened in the previous era, but at the same time, when those moves that were made in the previous era directly affect things that could have went down in this, in this year's draft, in this year's season, we have to take all of these things into account when we're looking to possibly throw blame, not looking to just be angry for any reason, but if we're looking to be fair in terms of who's at fault and is this fair to the player, as well as is this a good move for the organization. All of those things need to be taken into account. So that is the question that I would like to leave you all listening to this video with. Was this a fair opportunity for Matt Corral? Did the Carolina Panthers organization, Scott Fitterer, the higher ups, the brass, owe it to themselves and owe it to the organization to hopefully see this through and to make those 3 draft picks that they invested in Matt Corral hopefully flourish into something that would be usable or good for the team? Did they give up too fast? Whatever you all believe, leave your comments down in the comment section, and I will be sure to chop it up with you there, because I'm very interested to know what your answers are. But until next time, I'm going to leave it with you right there. I am Jamario Rashad. This is the way I see it, and I'm out. Peace.